I'm Julie Zenner along with Dennis Anderson, and here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
Thousands of college students are back in the Twin Ports for the beginning of the new school year. Tonight we will talk with leaders from 3 local college campuses.
A Duluth author is releasing a new children's book with a story set on the grounds of the historic Split Rock Lighthouse.
And we'll have the week's business headlines and bring you a news file story from 25 years ago.
It's all coming up next on Almanac North. Hello and welcome to Almanac North. Thanks for watching. Denny, we knew it was coming. The last full weekend of August is here.
Well, you had to say that, did you?
Yeah.
It was a fast summer.
It's
not over yet. We've still got, till the 21st of September, so we're okay.
And fall is beautiful.
It certainly is.
And we've got some great guests this evening, so let's
All
get
right.
started.
Thank you very much, Julie, and good evening, everyone. If you've noticed a bit more traffic and activity here in the Twin Ports this week, you're not alone. Thousands of students are returning to local colleges. Those students swell the population, and they do pump a lot of money into our economy, even as they prepare for future careers. So, joining us to talk about the new school year is Dr. Lendley Black. He's Chancellor at the University of Minnesota Duluth. Dr. Renee Wachter is the Chancellor at the University of Wisconsin Superior. And Mike Seymour is the Vice President of Academic and Student Affairs at Lake Superior College in Duluth. Want to thank all of you for being here. Dr. Black, freshman orientation, always an exciting time at the university, and is a busy time.
Very busy, very exciting. We're always thrilled to welcome new students to UMD and to Duluth, and this year we have a phenomenal class, and we had a great time on Tuesday helping them move in.
Are your numbers up?
They are. They are.
Give us some idea of.
Our numbers of new students are around 2,150 or so. Last year we were just under 2,000, so we do have a good increase in new students.
Good to hear.
And we're expecting a good overall class. Total enrollment will be somewhere just under 11,000, around 10,500 or so.
Dr. Wachter, things haven't really ramped up yet with the students at UW Superior yet, but it's coming.
It's coming. We have one more orientation and registration session next week. And then move-in day is Wednesday, and the ball gets rolling right after Labor Day. So we're excited because this is, I think, one of the largest classes that we've had in the last 10 years. So we're very excited about what this fall semester is going to look like.
Mm-hmm. And the workhorses are already at work up at Lake Superior College.
Yeah, we started this past Monday, 4,000 students to campus, over 1,000 new students, which is up about 7%. So we've got a lot of energy on campus this first week.
Mm-hmm. What are any new things for returning students this year at Lake Superior College?
Well, I'm glad you asked because I brought you a hat.
Excellent.
LSE is in its second year of offering soccer. So we have sports now at LSE. And we have men's and women's soccer. So we have about 50 students who are participating as student athletes. That is newer to us. We have, in that student population, we have 12 international students, 8 countries represented. Mm-hmm. So we've played 2 games and we're looking pretty fair this year.
And they're called the Ice Hawks.
The Ice Hawks, yeah, and I brought Greg one too. I know he has a couple of LSC students in his house, so he can have a hat as well.
There you go. Maybe we can go right down the line, starting with Dr. Black. What does your particular school have to offer that maybe other schools outside of the Twin Ports area don't have to offer? What attracts the students to UMD?
Well, a couple of things. I think it's a combination of our really strong undergraduate programs as well as our graduate programs. Our undergraduate research is phenomenal and significantly higher and more than you would see from most state universities like us. Mm-hmm. And also, obviously, the environment. Many of our students come from the Twin Cities, although we're also drawing this year from Illinois, Michigan, the Dakotas, as well as throughout Minnesota. So they come for our recreational sports programs, and particularly come because of our outstanding faculty.
Lack of a bonding bill this year isn't going to help UMD.
Well, we were extremely disappointed
Sure.
that we ended up where we did. And we're going to continue to be strong advocates for that project, for our chemistry and advanced material sciences building. But we did make some progress at UMD in facilities. Chena Hall was renovated, and that project was completed this summer.
Sure.
So it's a major academic building for us. The Tweed Museum was renovated. And also we have a new dining center renovation that was completed recently. Our dining center is now called Superior Dining.
Oh.
And it's a whole new concept
go.
in student dining from what we've had before. It's quite exciting.
Dr. Wachter, what attracts students to UWS?
You know, when you think about college students today and the national dialogue about students being concerned about student debt, I think what they see at UW Superior is a lot of personal attention. It has kind of a private school feel, but at a very affordable cost. And so for many students, that's a really terrific option. We've also done a very good job of trying to design programs that are attractive and also accessible for people who are seeking alternative delivery methods,
Sure.
online, for instance, accelerated, so they can get through quicker, cheaper, but at extremely high quality.
And Mike, what brings students to LSC?
Well, I think we have something for everybody, as evident in Greg's household. He's got his wife taking a new program and as a medical assistant. His son is learning how to do CAD work on a computer. So we have something for everybody. We've got students who are there to transfer to UMD or UWS. We have students who are there just to get basic skills in reading and writing.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that your three schools are really competing against each other, or do you work together and each fill a specific niche?
Actually, not so much competition. I mean, there's some natural competition, but the great thing about our three campuses, as well as the College of St. Scholastica, is we're all very different. We have very different missions,
Yes.
and those missions are complementary. And so whether someone wants a public liberal arts experience like UW Superior, or the experience they can get at Lake Superior College, or the little a larger, more state university experience at UMD, we can offer it all. And we meet regularly and talk about ways that we can partner, ways that we can decrease competition and increase our collaboration.
Sure.
We've been working a great deal on transfer agreements, making sure that it's easy to transfer between institutions if they start at Lake Superior College and wind up wanting to come to us, or vice versa, our students wanting to, let's say, enroll in engineering at UMD, that we make those pathways as easy as possible.
Mm-hmm. Now, I understand that Lake Superior College was ranked number 12 of 50 best value community colleges in the United States. That's quite something. How do you measure value?
And that was 1,700 schools in that were put against that metrics by the Gates. It was a Gates Foundation metric. So I'm not sure exactly what all the criteria in the metrics was that we scored well against, but in Minnesota, we were number 3, and it was just 2 community colleges ahead of us. So we feel good about that national recognition.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And do you find a lot of students who are coming through your program headed toward UMD or UW Superior?
Yeah, I pulled the numbers before I left campus. We send 150 students each year to the University of Minnesota. We expect that most of those are going to UMD, and 75 to UWS.
Yeah. Another subject I think we need to touch is job placement. Students are going to college because they want to join the workforce. Dr. Black, how's UMD doing when it comes to working with students trying to find careers?
Well, extremely well. The last survey that we had that was completed just a few months ago indicated that 97% of our alumni are either employed or they're pursuing other higher education opportunities within a year of graduation. So we think that's extremely high and really testifies to the value of the UMD education. Obviously, college tuition is high, expenses are high, and we're doing our best to hold the line on that. We kept tuition steady this year with no increase, but we also focus on the value and what
Sure.
students get from the education. And I think there are many many indications
Yeah.
that they do extremely well.
When you look at those numbers or those surveys, do you quantify at all the types of jobs or the salaries that they generate
We do.
to figure out if it is a value or if
Yes,
they're
we
taking
do. In
jobs?
fact, we have full breakdowns. The survey is available on our website if you'd like to see more of the details. But yeah, we break down the jobs by category, by major of our graduates, and it's quite impressive.
Dr. Wachter, is UWS also trying to find jobs for students?
We do. We spend a great deal of time both preparing them what the expectations are in the workforce.
Yeah.
So everything from what you would think of as an etiquette dinner to helping them write their resumes. Large focus on internships because we know that employers tend to hire at a much greater rate those students that they've had working for them. So
Yeah.
we work a great deal there as well.
Vice President Mike, what does the LSC do?
We have a recent graduation number. It's 91.5%, up from 90.5%. The state average for two-year schools is 86.5%. So more of our graduates are finding work. We graduate about 800 students each year. And so the strong Twin Ports economy, I think, is helping that number right now.
Do you find students coming out of your programs and really embracing the new economy where they create their own jobs rather than look for somebody to hire them?
Entrepreneurial.
Yeah, well, I think we do, and I think Duluth and the Twin Ports are doing a great job of creating new opportunities for those young professionals. We have a new program in cultural entrepreneurship, which has been extremely successful. And many of our other popular programs are interdisciplinary new programs, like our retail marketing analytics program, our design and marketing program, graphic design and marketing program. So we're trying to be innovative in programs that meet current needs and demands and student interests.
What about UW Superior in terms of working with the local business community to try to make sure that there's a match between the skills that the graduates have and the skills that are needed by the
Yeah, many
employers?
of our programs have advisory boards that are made up of those community members, so we're getting direct feedback from those employers saying, yes, your program's delivering the kind of graduate that we want, and that was one of the programs is in data science, so being able to crunch through the big data sets was a direct result of those kinds of conversations.
And does Lake Superior College do the same sort of thing?
We have advisory committees for all our programs. And in terms of our liberal arts education, we work with our four-year institutions in creating pathways from Lake Superior College to the various higher ed 4 years.
I would assume all three colleges have job fairs from time to time. How do they help? Do they help?
Well, they do, and I think what helps even more is getting students out into the job market before graduation. So we have a strong emphasis on internship programs. Our very high demand programs in engineering and the sciences, many of those place students in the workforce early on, and as a result, many of them are getting job offers in their junior, senior years.
Are all three of you finding local businesses very willing to help out with job fairs, exceedingly interested in the students?
Very excited because they know that there's a workforce shortage out there, and looking for talent has become a prime objective of many of the businesses. So yeah, it's been a great partnership.
We're actually working with the entrepreneurs on providing new age soft skills. We're calling it professional literacy. We seem to have a disconnect between the way we used to look at employees and the way our millennial generation sort of hires employees now and the way our younger people think about work.
Sure. All right, thank you. Mike, Renee, Lendley, thank you all for being here tonight. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
for
us.
having us.
Great, thank you.
Now, let's dig into our news file archive for a look at what was making news 25 years ago this week.
A shovel operator scoops up tons of high-grade iron ore in a single bucket. Nearby, a driver tips his bed and spills it into the pocket for sizing and washing. It's the way mining became king in northeastern Minnesota, long before taconite was ever considered. And it's coming to an end.
After that many years, it'll be a change to not have to get up in the morning or go on midnight shift or whatever shift I was lined up to go to, it'll be a big change.
LTV's Denora pit has given up some 8 million tons of natural high-grade ore, with some quantities rated at more than 60% iron. This fall, the pit will be exhausted. It's the last natural ore mine on the Iron Range, and for many of these miners, it's the end of their careers.
Well, it's not easy because all my life has been there, and I'm going to miss it when it ends.
Pit closings have been a fact of life on the Iron Range for years, but when that pit is the Denora, warm feelings start to flow about as fast as the water gushes in here. That's because it's the end of a mining era.
All of the old-timers, actually, they had their logging and mining, and I guess we followed their footsteps, and that's where we're ending an era right now.
The pit is smaller than most on the range, so are the trucks and shovels. But when the last load is taken, miners say their love for a special hole in the ground will never be exhausted. In Aurora, with photographer George Marinsel, Ryan Davenport, KDLH News.
An award-winning Duluth author has a new children's book set on the north shore of Lake Superior. Storms Coming features a young girl whose family lives at historic Split Rock Lighthouse. Young Sophie is in tune with the nature around her and knows how to read the signs when rain is on the way. Published by the Minnesota Historical Society Press, the book will be launched next weekend, appropriately at Split Rock Lighthouse. And joining us now is Margi Preus, author of Storms Coming. And thanks for being here.
Well, it's great to be here.
Now, you've blended history and nature into this beautiful new children's book. How do you get your inspiration?
Well, I went to Split Rock Lighthouse and I read a lot of the accounts that children who had grown up at the lighthouse wrote about their growing up years. And not just kids at Split Rock, I also read a lot of accounts by kids who had grown up at lighthouses all around the world. And one thing I thought was really interesting is that without exception, every single one said it was the best time of their life.
Wow.
They loved it.
It's interesting that you say that you researched all sorts of lighthouses because the text itself doesn't really specifically say Split Rock Lighthouse, but the pictures,
the illustrations,
clearly
are
there on the North Shore.
At Split Rock, yep.
But that was in your head as you were going into it.
Well, I knew it was going to be set at Split Rock, so so I was especially interested in what the children growing up there had to say. And almost the first thing that I ran across was a line by Beulah Covell-Myers, who grew up there, and she said that the keepers were very cognizant of the weather. They would have to watch for signs and weather changes. These things were passed on to us kids. So I started thinking about it because where do we get our weather?
Sure.
Television, radio, our smartphones, but not in the early 20th century. None of those things were available, of course. So how did they know when there was a storm coming or that the weather was about to change?
You're a best-selling author. When did you first realize that you had a talent for writing?
Well, I actually don't think I do have a talent for writing. I have a talent for revising. That's what I tell students. I always liked to write, even when I was a kid. I wrote stories and plays, wrote a lot of plays. That was my entree into writing was through theater.
When you write, do you sit down someplace outside with a legal pad and pen some things down, or do you go right to the computer? How do you do that?
I do actually write with longhand to start out, and I think it's because that's what I grew up doing, and so that's what I'm comfortable. That's what I'm comfortable with now.
Talk a little bit about the relationship between the author, the writer, and the illustrator, because the pictures match your words so beautifully. Do you?
That's thanks to David.
Do you work together, or do you request a specific illustrator? How does that work?
No, usually, well, often, a lot of people do think that you find an illustrator and then you are a team. But most of the time, with most publishers, if you're not an illustrator yourself, you write the text and the publisher pairs you with an illustrator. And often you don't have any say in it at all. I was very fortunate to be able to speak with David. We had very good conversations about, you know, what I pictured, which wasn't a lot. He is, you know, just did a great job with it and did such beautiful illustrations. And he also did a lot of research at the lighthouse, so the details are perfect.
You once mentioned in a written interview that your most treasured possession is solitude. Can you unwrap that a little bit?
Well, it's an important thing if you're going to be a writer to like solitude, for one thing, and you also need it because some people are very good at writing with all kinds of hubbub around, but not me. I like to have
and quiet.
I like to have a little quiet, and so I have a little writing house in my backyard, and I spend my writing time there when I can.
In this particular book, how involved were the folks at the Lighthouse and the Minnesota Historical Society in making sure that it was historically correct?
Right. Well, Lee Radzak, the site manager there, was very helpful. He helped get me all kinds of materials to do for use for research, and I know that David, the illustrator, spent a lot of time at Split Rock, and Lee helped him with all the details. I guess there was quite a bit of back and forth, like, what is the locking mechanism on the shed door? And so, and I also emailed Lee and asked him this and that and the other thing. So how many stairs are there?
Sure.
You know, and things like that. So he was very helpful, and everybody was very excited about having a book set at the beautiful Split Rock Lighthouse.
Other than your own work, do you have a favorite author?
I have so many. Yeah, there are too many to mention. I love reading all kinds of different genres.
How important is it for a writer to be a reader?
It's really important. I don't think there's anything more important. I don't think you can be a writer if you're not a reader.
Now, this is a picture book, but you've written historical fiction for older students too.
Yeah, more
young
of my
adult.
books are novels for young readers about 10 years old and up. And so this is fun. It's very fun for me to have a picture book, and I also like to kind of expand my ability to speak to children of all ages. So my novels are for 10 and up, and this will be for a little bit younger audience than that.
Margi, do you first research a subject and then go for it, or does it come naturally to you as you sit down and write?
I research as I write because I don't know what I need to know until I need to know it. So rather than doing a lot of research and then having all this amazing knowledge that I want to cram into a book somehow, I try to let the story guide me and tell me what I need to know, and then I do research as I go.
Interesting.
I imagine with storms coming, you know what the end is going to be, but do you always know what the end is going to be when you start to write?
No. I think there is a good piece of advice that you should know your ending and work toward it, and I consistently ignore that advice, and then it makes it harder. But
I hope I didn't give it away that the storm.
Oh, well, there is a storm. Yes, a storm does come.
Of all your work, is there a favorite?
Of mine?
Yes.
Oh, I love them all like my children.
Do you?
Yeah, they're all each unique and have their bright spots.
Is it easier to write for older children or younger?
You know, I think the picture book format is the hardest thing on the face of the earth to write, frankly, because you have to you have to have a story, and then you have to get that story into so few words. So it's almost like poetry, but it's almost like a novel in the sense that it has to be full and round, and the characters have to be round and interesting, but you have very few words to do that.
Yes.
Talk about the book launch.
Yes, I'm very excited. David and I will both be at Split Rock Lighthouse on September 3rd. That's the Saturday of Labor Day weekend. From 2 until 4, we'll be creating a storm of some sort, hopefully not a destructive one. And then we'll be signing books. So 2 to 3, we'll be talking about the books and reading it. and 3 to 4 will be signing.
Wonderful.
All right,
Good.
and the book is Storms Coming. It's a beautiful book. Margi Preus, thank you so much for coming and sharing some information. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's turn now to the week's business headlines from Business North. The City of Duluth and the Duluth 1200 Fund announced a new loan program this week. The Advance West program is designed to spur renovation of older commercial buildings and create jobs in the Lincoln Park, West Duluth, and Spirit Valley business districts. The program will provide up to $50,000 with $7,500 in loan forgiveness available for each full-time job created. The assistance is designed as gap financing and cannot be used as a project's primary loan.
New Great Lakes cargo ships are becoming more environmentally friendly. Canadian vessel owner FedNav Limited has received delivery of the Federal Caribou, one of 7 new ocean-going lakers equipped with a ballast water treatment system. The system combines filtration with chlorine disinfection, a first for the Great Lakes. FedNav's new vessels also emit 25% fewer greenhouse gases than similar vessels built less than 15 years ago, and nitrogen oxide emissions are reduced by 15%.
Several Duluth and northeastern Minnesota radio stations will change hands. The buyers and sellers announced on Wednesday. Pending Federal Communications Commission approval, Wausau-based Midwest Communications will buy KQDS from Red Rock Radio. The Duluth rock and roll oldie station has long been a ratings leader. Midwest Radio is also buying WEVE in Eveleth, KGPZ in Coleraine, and WXXZ in Grand Marais, also from Red Rock. Midwest Communications already operates 6 stations in the Twin Ports. Terms of the deal were not disclosed. For more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
If you have a comment on our show, call now. Dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message or send an email to almanacnorth@wdse.org. And visit the WDSE website for information about your favorite programs, upcoming station events, and of course the latest program listings. And Denny, there is a program note before we go next week. Almanac North will not be seen. We're being preempted by a Downton Abbey marathon for Labor Day weekend, and we'll return on Friday, September 9th for the first show of our 25th season.
Can you imagine that? Wow. I've been here now for 5 of the 25.
Yeah,
It's going.
I've been here for more than
Yes,
that.
you have. Hello.
For Denny and the crew here at Almanac North, I'm Julie Zenner. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks.